Hey, how's it going? Hey, happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? Oh, my hair's extra curly. It's kind of wet, so I apologize. I got my hat right here, but it's a little warm in here. Yeah, my hair's real curly. All right. That's about as long as the hat. That's about as long as I could go without a hat. When I saw my hair, I was like, whoa, it looks like mad scientist hair. How's it going? Hey, happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? Hey, Maffney. Hey, how's it going? Hi, Tim and everyone. Tier 1, 5 months, 5 month streak. Thank you so much. Man, how are you? Happy Saturday. What a nice way to start the stream. Obviously, there was a lot of you in here before I got started, so I appreciate that too. Hope everyone's doing well this Saturday. Maffney, again, thank you for the sub, the resub, 5 months. Wow, 5 months already. Thank you so much. How's everyone doing? I probably said that a few times. I'm doing good. I'll answer before I let you guys ask me. I'm doing pretty good. I've been super busy. I've kind of been off the radar, under the radar. I don't know what part of the radar I was on or under, but I've been, oh man, I've been battling with, I'll just throw it all out there. I've been battling with Rancher, Kubernetes, K3S, and traffic all in one. And I kind of destroyed my cluster, and so I've been like recovering it little by little over the last week, and so I didn't totally destroy it. My services were still up, but I did destroy my ingresses, my load balancer, lots of stuff. So I've been really kind of peeling back the onion over the last week and a half and trying to figure out, okay, how can I simplify some of my infrastructure? And at the same time, how can I make it repeatable? And how can I have a little bit less magic? Because like I understand Kubernetes and I get manifest. I know how to deploy with kube control. I know how to manage with kube control. And I've been using Rancher for a long time. You guys know that. It helped me get started on understanding bits and pieces of Kubernetes that I didn't fully understand. And there's always a little bit of magic with Rancher with its ingresses. And so the last week I've been just tearing down all of my ingresses, recreating my own using traffic, and it's actually been so there is a silver lining to all this. Through all this, I've learned that, man, I can do a lot of this stuff without Rancher ingresses, and that doesn't matter. If you're using the UI, absolutely use it. If you're not, I have an alternate way. Maybe I can show later if we have some time, or share later in a video, or I'll definitely share the documentation. So I have a lot of documentation on traffic to Rancher and Kubernetes, or K3S. I'll use those interchangeably. And so I have the documentation there on how to do it with an ingress, but now I know how to do it with an ingress route, which is actually pretty nice because you can define those routes at a lower level. You can define them as part of your deployment. Hey, the Quantum Penguin. Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much. Resub, tier 1, 3 months. Quantum Penguin. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. How's it going? So anyways, that's a lot about what's been going on with me. I've been super busy. You guys probably didn't even notice because I've switched my stream to Saturday only, so you didn't notice that like Tuesday and Thursday I would have been like, oh. If you're in Discord, you probably knew because I'm like, why? Anyways, and then on top of that, been feeling just a little down. I don't know what it is. Anyways, I'm not sick, but I'm like feel like I could get sick like for the past week, so it's kind of weird. So pretty low energy. Anyways, I got most of my energy back. I don't know what's going on. So anyways, enough about me. How are you guys doing? Happy Saturday. Thank you for being here, first and foremost. I really appreciate it. I'll get to comments here in a second. Secondly, if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask me. I'd love to either get feedback on some of my videos, or if you have questions about you're setting something up, or you just want to share something. You just want to share something you're working on. Absolutely, I encourage that here. I encourage you to share what you're working on because I know a lot of times, with me, always in the past, I work on stuff kind of by myself at home. My wife's not that interested in Kubernetes. I don't know why not. I do some Kubernetes stuff. I do a lot of software development stuff at work, but the personal stuff that I do, I don't have a lot of people to share that with. So if you want to share that here, absolutely, go ahead, please do. So anyways, let's get into comments. They're flying in, so I appreciate it. Real quick, I already called out the subs. Really appreciate it. Mafney and the Quantum Penguin, thank you so much for continued support. Really appreciate it. There were a couple follows before I started, so I don't know if you guys are still here, but I really appreciate it. Kluge, hi, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. And P Vega, I'm going with that 90. P Vega, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. What are you guys up to? I'd really like to know. I feel like this once a week schedule that I'm on isn't enough time, but I'll see if I can squeeze some more in and adjust sometimes too. I'm going to be a little bit more flexible. I will always do Saturdays unless there's absolutely something like critical I have to do. Hey, Iakata. Hey, Iakata-san. I'm going to say it. I'm going to put my own Japanese spin on it. How's it going, man? Dude, thank you so much. Cheer. What's up, man? Got my rack set up. That was my next question. Waiting for my memory and CPUs to build my server chassis. Yeah, man. Dude, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you. So if you were here last stream, Iakana has been building his rack. He's been handpicking a lot of hardware, handpicking servers, and doing a custom build of a server. And I think this is his first one. I think it's his first rack mount server. I think that for sure. I don't know if it's his first server, but he's getting all the parts, so super excited for him. That's awesome. I was thinking today earlier, like I've been doing so much software and configuration, the last 2 weeks. I'm just like, I just need some hardware. I kind of have this itch to like build something else, and I'm like convincing myself that I need another server, and then at the same time like unconvincing myself that I need another server, because there's something about like physically building something. Like I virtually build stuff all the time, and I virtually blow up stuff all the time, and I virtually destroy stuff all the time. But there's something to be said about like having something, physical, putting it together, getting it working, and then getting the software on there, and then putting the system on top of there, and then having a fully working system that I just love. It's pairing, hardware and software to provide some kind of service that I don't know. I just can't get enough of it. And so I know I have plenty of room on my virtualization servers to spin stuff up, but at the same time, I have all this room in my rack. So hey, Doc Y. Hey, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the sub. Appreciate it. Yeah, my lights are going. Again, that was something else. It's like this combination of like, okay, feedback from you guys, like, hey, it would be cool to change your lights. And I'm like, sweet, I would love to program that. Just need the hardware. And then I went out and bought hardware and bought infrared stuff, built this open source project to share with people, so that people can change the lights in here. And at the same time, then I can do effects as well. It's that intersection of just hardware, software, services, and interaction that I just love. I just can't get enough of it. So anyways, I'm rambling now about like just platforms and stacks and software development in general, because it's so much fun. I love it, especially when it's something that you can see or hear or feel, those types of things. Like, don't get me wrong, I do a ton of web dev stuff and I do a ton of app development stuff. That's all super fun. But just IoT stuff is super fun too. So anyways, Doc Y, appreciate it. Welcome. How's it going? Thanks for the sub. Hype Train. So we're on Hype Train? Dude, thank you. Wow, triggered that. Thank you so much. Thank you. So let's go. Let's get into comments. And if you just joined, I appreciate you being here. Let me know if you have anything you have questions about, just want to talk tech, have questions about anything, servers, services, home lab, you name it, software dev, mobile dev. I'll try to answer it. I have kind of a jack of all trades. I've been for a long time, so I'll try to answer it. And if not, I'll find someone who knows the answer. There's also a ton of smart people here and in Discord, so I appreciate it. But yeah, fire away. Dude, Iakata. I'm gonna call you Iakata-san. So I could say that. I'm part Japanese, so san, I throw san on the end of everything. So you said web dev is your first, is it the first? Oh, sorry. Is that what you started with, or how did you get started? Yeah, so this question comes up every now and then. I'll give you the quick version. So web development. I mean, I do full stack development, but I really enjoy front end. I'm a lot better at front end than I am back end, just because I like it so much that it's what I focus on and I get excited about. So a lot of front end. I'll say client work, as in the client server relationship. But yeah, web dev. ton of React, ton of Node, React Native, web in general. I've done Angular. I've done like a lot of web stuff. Is that how I get started? No, actually, I started out in just IT, not just IT, because it's tough to get into, especially nowadays. But I started out in tech support. I think that's where my love for hardware infrastructure came from. Is because I started out in tech support. Basically I was like tier 2 help desk. It was one of the best jobs I ever had in my whole entire life, because I got to meet people, help people, learn tons of things about lots of different systems. I worked in a healthcare system too, so that was nice, working in that industry and getting familiar with those types of terms and systems that they use there. And then after tech support, did system administrator stuff, did network administrator stuff, and then I had an opportunity to be, and then I built a bunch of apps on my own personal time, kind of like what I do now, except for I do that professionally. And then a software dev position opened up at one of the company I was at, and they gave me a shot. And so ever since then, I've loved developing software, and I did before. And I think my love for developing software came from automation. And where did I learn automation? From system administration. And where did I learn system administration stuff? From tech support. So I've slowly built up just this, I guess, breadth of knowledge of IT and systems in general. I never went way too deep in one thing, except for software development. It depends on how deep you're talking. But yeah, that's how I get started. Yakata is tech support. I mean, that was my first job out of college, and I loved it. Super. That's not Sudesper. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. But yeah, so never. I don't know. This is why I always tell people, like, hey, if you're interested in a different position or even to break through in IT, start building up your portfolio. What do artists do when they want to get a job or get a gig or get some kind of work? They build their portfolio. Why? So they have something to show. So they can say, hey, here's the type of artwork I make, or here's the type of cinematography I do. Look at it, take it in, and you can kind of see what they're interested in, what their skill sets are, and what they're able to do, and what they've done on their own. And I say the same thing about anything in IT. But your portfolio ends up becoming a GitHub repo, a website you maintain, or a system you maintain, or an open source project. So that's why I always encourage people to always, continue to develop your own skills on your own time. If you have time, even an hour a day or a half hour a day or an hour or two a week, and, put that time into your project, which is basically your portfolio, a little bit of time into your resume, and opportunities open up all the time. I mean, software's not going anywhere anytime soon, and all the systems that support software to run to deliver these services to people aren't going anywhere soon. It's getting bigger, better, faster. So, need more people. Anyways, that's my spiel. That's kind of me in a nutshell. But yeah, appreciate it. Yakata, thanks again for the bits. Appreciate it. So wow, I've been talking so much, haven't gotten to comments. I'm getting to comments. Okay. All right. So who is here first? Hey. Dakenbite was here first. Yo! So I was testing my bot. I was like, oh my gosh, I just redid all of my infrastructure. Well, not infrastructure totally, but all my routes and my SSL. I was like, oh, does my bot still work? And it does. So, so yeah, it still works. So how's it going? Any blast? Hello, how are you? Dakenbite, I got some questions for you today, good sir. LOL. Hey, I hopefully have some answers for you. So let me know. Telias, I'm so bad with names. Telias, that's what I'm going. Telias, hello. Moha joke, hello from France. Hey from the US, how's it going? Easton, how's it going, man? How are you doing today? HomeLab New, how's it going, dude? How you been, man? HomeLab New, just finished my serverless security project. Wow, serverless. 6 months, and you guys have been here for all of it. Yeah, man. I remember when you said you're getting ready to start uni again, and that and this is, security is what you're going after. It seems like wasn't that long ago. So awesome, man. 6 months. Congratulations. I hope it goes well. Finish strong. Run past the finish line. That's what people say in racing, right? Run past the finish line. So run past, not up to, and slow down before you get there. Run past it. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, man. Super awesome. Serverless security project. Wow, man, you are definitely on the cutting edge and or bleeding edge of tech security for serverless. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Hope you're doing well. Tuxic. That's what I'm going. Tuxic. Hey, how's it going? How are you? Linux Tux. How are you? Hi there. Urgent Cashew. Ooh, Urgent Cashew. I like it. I like it. It sounds like an Ubuntu release name, except for it would be, double consonants or double vowels. But I like it. Urgent Cashew. In the middle of my first 3D print and migrating data from TrueDAS box to another. Wow, you got your hands full with both data migration, some virtual stuff, virtual stuff, and then some physical stuff with 3D printing. So, man, that is awesome. So your data migration, is this a migration to a new server, to a new volume? Let me know, because I might be in that situation sometime too, and I love to know what you're doing and how you're doing it. Sorry, I have like something in my throat. Okay, sorry about that. Going back to this kind of sick thing I've had for like a week and a half, I feel like. Not full sick, kind of sick. So I've been just like a little bit down. Even like last stream, someone's like, you seem tired. I was like, yeah, I kind of am, but I hopefully wasn't projecting that too much. Anyways, hopefully I don't seem tired today, because I'm a little cloudy, but not tired. So, hey, Sigor, resub Prime 6 months, dude. Sigor, thank you. 6 months streak, dude. Thank you so much. Or 6 months in general. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it. How you doing, Sigor? Hope you're well. Let's see. Dak Invite. Currently trying to plan reworking my entire server rack. Sounds familiar. Trying to start over my entire infrastructure with your K3S Rancher Longhorn recommendations. Yeah, it's a solid combo. Just trying to figure out how to do this in the best way properly across 6 bare metal servers running Proxmox. Wow. Woo. That's a big one. This is like a design session. So I'll give you my high level of where I would start if I had 6 bare metal servers running Proxmox. One, you already have running Proxmox, so that next I would probably cluster them all. Maybe you need clustering, maybe you don't. I only use clustering so that I can have so I can do a live migration of stuff. I don't use the HA part to automatically spin up VMs, but that's besides the point. Anyways, get them all working. Next is you're going to need virtual servers on all of those servers. So I would start spinning up virtual servers, make a template. It'll make it faster. Or use Cloud Init. It'll make it even faster. Spin up a bunch of servers on all of those. I tend to put one of each type on each server, or 2, depending on how critical it is. So with K3S, you're going to need 1 or 2 per virtual host. And you don't have to do it this way. I'm just going to make it easy. I'm going to pretend like you have 2 and then just multiply that by 3. But put one K3S server on each Proxmox node, one K3S agent on each Proxmox node, one Longhorn storage server on each node, which is a K3S agent. And then, some people separate Rancher out and treat that as their own cluster. Personally, I don't, because it just blows out the architecture or the infrastructure you need by like 2. But if you're interested in that, Rancher recommends running Rancher on its own cluster. It means a lot more infrastructure. Up to you. Once you have all of that, you have some decisions with K3S. You got external database with MySQL or Postgres, or you have internal embedded etcd, which is newer. You got some decisions there. Both good options. I'll let you decide. Then you start just you create a cluster, add each node. You can use Ketchup if you want for that. So if you want to use Ketchup, Ketchup's a nice little utility that you can run on your local machine to do the automated work of adding nodes or agents or servers to your K3S cluster. Then, so the list goes on and on and on, but I'll make it quicker. And then on top of that, then you're going to get Rancher installed. Once you got Rancher installed, then you can get Longhorn installed. And then you should be kind of good. I mean, there's taints to apply. There's a lot of details in between. But fortunately, I have every step of the way documented in videos. So, I mean, that's high level what I would do. You know, I try to put at least one node. So I use Ubuntu. So one Ubuntu server per physical server or per virtualization host. That way I can shut one server down and still have one of the other types still running. And it gets a little bit complicated with load balancing and stuff like that. But that's what I go after. Yeah, so let me know. Easton, going to be really listening to the conversation today, dealing with a lot of personal stuff. Hey, man, hope it's okay. I appreciate you tuning in. If you can't tune in, man, it's totally fine. You got to handle your business, man. So I really appreciate you tuning in. Hope everything's okay. Yeah, thank you, man. Hope everything's okay. If you need something, reach out in Discord. Try to help. But yeah, hope you're okay. Homeland New Easton, hope everything's well. I do too. Happy Saturday, Dak and Bye. How's it going? Yeah, happy Saturday. Mafney, hi Tim, and hi everyone. How's it going, Mafney? Thanks again for the resub. Zoe25, howdy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Easton, thank you. It will be. All right, good. Confirmation, it will be okay. Hope you're well, man. Linux Tuck, deciding if installing TrueNAS on bare metal or virtualize it with Proxmox. I'm not quite sure how good TrueNAS virtualization is. It's just like bare metal. This comes up. This is starting to come up more and more. I think almost every stream. So how good is it? Good is relative. I'll tell you that I've never run TrueNAS, even back when it was FreeNAS. I've never run it physical, ever. Only because I at the time, I didn't have one whole server to dedicate to storage. And it did make things a little more complex, and there are pros or cons to both. I'm not going to say one's all roses and, absolutely go this way, but there are a lot of considerations to take into place before you decide if virtualization of your TrueNAS server is for you. It is for me, for now. And that's always something else you're going to have to consider for now, right? Because you're going to have to take into consideration your whole entire infrastructure, what your needs are, what happens when you shut this thing down. Can everything still run with your storage shut down? And for me, that's a hard no. None of my nodes will respond well. So when I say nodes, even my Ubuntu nodes, I'll drop it down a level. Not my hypervisor's fine if I shut down my storage, but my servers aren't. Some of them aren't, and especially Kubernetes ones aren't. That's kind of why I started using Longhorn, because now I've separated that concern of storage, pulled it out of TrueNAS and put it into my actual Kubernetes node. So anyways, pros and cons with both. I will say that if you are going to virtualize it, you absolutely have to pass through drives, or you absolutely have to pass through your HBA controller or whatever you're using, because TrueNAS needs direct access to those disks, because it's running ZFS. So that's the only complicated part. So then there's a requirement on your virtualization host to support VT-D or whatever, IOMMU, depending on what processor type you're using, to be able to do that. But for me, it's worked out well. It's worked out fantastic. I've even, when I moved to my 1U servers, I had that choice again because I had spare hardware. Am I gonna virtualize this thing again or not? And I chose to virtualize it again, and I just migrated the virtual machine. I just did a shutdown, backup, restore, all through Proxmox. I mean, that's one of the pros of virtualizing it. You treat it just like any other virtual machine in your infrastructure. So you have, if it's virtualized, you have a lot of flexibility. But you lose, some uptime too, as well. If you end up shutting down the host, obviously the guests aren't online. So, things you'll have to consider. I've been virtualizing mine. But like I say, I don't know, if I'm going to go back to bare metal next month. I could change my mind. TrueNAS Scale comes out. I have another choice. Okay, am I going to, run 2 TrueNAS servers and synchronize them, just like Craft Computing does, how he has, 2 dedicated servers, and he does a synchronization between the two, or an rsync between the two, whatever, however you back them up. those are decisions, you'll have to make too. And that's all possible too if you virtualize two versions of it. But anyways, lots of decisions, I guess, for me. But I mean, for you, I would just start listing out the pros and cons. If you need help listing them out, I've just hit me up in Discord, because I've thought this through a lot, and every month I reconsider because I'm like, do I need a dedicated TrueNAS server? And I try to convince myself that I do, and so far it's been no. So far it's been no, and it's really just an optimization. I'm not getting, I did mention that I gained some stuff for backups, but really it's an optimization play for me. An optimization of power, how I back things up, and hardware. Just all the benefits you get from virtualizing something. So for me, it's 100% just an optimization play, and not because of anything else. TLJ game, Tim, in your newer K3S videos, you didn't set the Pi as master, right? Only worker. Yeah, I did. Yeah, good eye there. Good eye. Yeah, good eye. Hey, Genorian. Hey, Genorian. Resub Prime 6 months, dude. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. 6 months. Let's go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. How you doing, Genorian? I've said Genorian, but if it's something else, let me know. But how are you? Thank you so much. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Only a worker in my new K3S video. And I did that because, this is part of what I've been working on this week too, is trying to find a minimum cluster I can run, so that if the power goes down or whatever, I can run a minimum server with a minimum cluster to provide minimum services off battery backup. And my Pi was kind of like my go-to for that. I was like, yeah, I only need to run a handful of services. Boy, was I wrong. I figured out the last 3 days, because you need to do a lot more than just, services alone for Kubernetes. To be able to have a Kubernetes cluster, you can't just run pods. There are a lot of things that come along with Kubernetes that you also need to run too. So anyways, you're absolutely right. I only did it as an agent. I will do it as an agent. I would, if I could do an all-in-one, agent plus server, but I opted out of doing that, and nothing more than I want to put minimum amount of stuff on my Raspberry Pi, in my Kubernetes cluster. So it's tough. I'm still going through trying to figure out what that looks like for me to be able to run a minimum set of services so that I could shut everything down, run off power, battery backup for just my PoE devices, and still have my Kubernetes cluster up and going. But when I say minimum, I'm talking bare minimum. I'm talking, some DNS, some of my services that are public that need to stay up, and a few other things. Dynamic DNS, Cloudflare stuff, like all of that. And even some of my domains, I'm even just picking and choosing, like, okay, if the power was off for 5 hours, do I really need to update this domain that has no traffic at all? No, probably not. So anyways, that me making that choice of making that an agent was part of that too, is just saying, okay, I'm going to treat this like an agent and join it to my cluster just like any other server. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Good eye there. Yeah, I didn't do it as a server, an API server. I did it as an agent, and that was purposeful. I did that on purpose. Because I feel like that's the use case for most people, in general too. When I made that video, I was just like, most people are gonna, spin up another node because their one node is taxed or bound by CPU, RAM, disk, whatever. And so the biggest use case for adding another node to your K3S cluster is usually to be an agent. So that's what I went with. So yeah, good eye. Moha hoke, joke. Joke. Cool talk. I'm terrible at Spanish. How are you? TLG game. Oh, that sounds crazy. Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, that's not Spanish. I guess not. I always want to see Fitbit when I see your name because my glasses need a new prescription. FLB it. I'm going with that. Hi, thinking, should I install Proxmox or wait to TrueNAS Core? Yeah, good question. That is a great question. It's really going to be up to you. TrueNAS Core, TrueNAS Scale is really going to shake things up. It might even shake things up for me too. We'll see. I have some requirements for my hypervisor. I always do. This is why I haven't. This is why I continue to use Proxmox, because I have requirements. But TrueNAS Scale is looking pretty awesome. You know, I was just Googling the other day, like, hey, GPU pass-through TrueNAS Scale. Like, I'm starting to already evaluate what it looks like if I were to go full all in and make it my hypervisor. Not saying I am. Don't get any thoughts in your head. But, you know, it is interesting because now they have KVM, well, based on Linux. So now it has KVM. It's going to have first-class Docker support, and then it's going to have first-class Kubernetes support on top of everything else they already do. So that's interesting. That's interesting because you could almost run, you know, 3 TrueNAS Scale servers bare metal. Then you have your Docker containers running bare metal. Then you have your Kubernetes running bare metal. Then you have the option to virtualize, and then you have the option to migrate those across your TrueNAS Scale cluster. So it's looking really interesting. And I think we got a month until they've said they are going to release the first version. So the jury's still out. You know, for me, it's going to boil down to a couple of things. GPU pass-through is absolutely number one. Like, if you can't do GPU pass-through effectively with an NVIDIA card, I can't use it because I have to do that for 2 of my workloads. And then anything else is just, if it can do that and has a really great management UI, and can do all the other things, yeah, who knows? Sky's the limit with TrueNAS Scale. We'll see. It's coming. It's coming. I mean, it'll be here in a month. I mean, we can get the alpha already. I think they basically said, hey, we should have a release in April. They're targeting April. And I know how software development goes. It's really hard to estimate, you know, especially launch dates when you're developing something, only because, you know, there's so many unknowns. Hopefully they figured out all the unknowns and they're only knowns now, and then they can just plow through them. So good luck to them. I'm my fingers on the pulse for that for sure. I hope it's I hope it's everything everyone hopes it is, because it's really awesome. I mean, I predicted, I don't know, eight months ago or something. I said, you know, it's you know, and some of this I knew. You could look at the code and see it, but I said it's going to be like Proxmox, Rancher, Kubernetes, Docker, you know, all had a baby, and TrueNAS, you know, all had a baby, and that seems to be what it's turning out to be. So it's going to be interesting for sure. I'm excited for it. I think a lot of people are. And getting on the Linux platform just opens a ton of possibilities. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Sama Lama Ding Dong. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. How are you? But yeah, it sounds interesting for sure. Solidaro Dur. Do you think it's worth waiting for Turing Pi 2 platform for Raspberry Pi cluster project? Yeah, another great question too. So Turing Pi, it's a board where you can plug in, you know, Raspberry Pi compute modules directly into the board, and you get a shared plane to run multiple, you know, Raspberry Pi nodes, compute nodes. And so what does that mean? You basically have shared infrastructure for your compute nodes, so you can plug them in, and it's really awesome. Seems awesome. Is it worth waiting for? It kind of depends. Depends on what you want. I mean, if I was gonna go and build just a Pi cluster and that's all I was doing, not like that's, you know, that's still a huge feat. But I, you know, didn't have, I guess, any other machines in my infrastructure. Yeah, I think I would. I think I would. I think it'd be a good choice. You know, I do have, you know, a heterogeneous, you know, architecture here. I have x86, I have Pis, I have ARMs, you name it. And I do have PoE switches. So for me, I'm going to slowly build those things over time. But if I had nothing and I was like, yes, I want a Pi cluster, I mean, it's not out yet, but the Turing Pi 2 does seem like it's going to be a great solution. But the jury's still out on, you know, because it's not released yet. Should be soon. Another thing coming soon, Turing Pi 2. I think it's in production now. So the jury's still out on performance and features, all the features, if they work as they're supposed to. But if it's anything like the first one, it should be only better. So yeah, I think it's worth waiting, because either way, you know, you're going to have some choices, you know, with Turing Pi 2 versus just buying a bunch of Pis. You know, if you buy just a bunch of Pis, You got to figure out, how are they housed? How are they powered? How do you get network to them? And which Pi do you buy? And if you're going to wait for the Turing Pi 2, it's really which, compute module do you plug into it? And everything else is figured out for you. Power, networking, because it all comes through the bus. So, yeah, sounds interesting. We got a lot of interesting stuff coming up. That's for sure. Salute from France. Thanks. It was French. Appreciate it. Node.js microservice scaffold. Node.js microservice scaffold. Yeah. So I think you're asking, what do I use for Node.js to scaffold out microservices? Nest. So I just recently discovered it. So I used to use this thing called REST, and it was basically a templating from what's the templating? I forget what it is. Anyways, there's a templating and templating is probably the best way to say it. Tool you could do to build out REST APIs, and I used to use that, but then I recently found this thing called Nest or Nest.js, which does it really nice. So Moha joke or Moha Hoke, I don't know how you pronounce it. Look for Nest.js because it's really awesome. You can spin up microservices on Node.js really, really fast. And it's totally like a plugin based architecture. You can pick and choose. You're like, yep, I want auth, want basic auth, want OAuth, I want routes, I want, whatever feature you want, you can pull them in and then generate that. And so it takes care of a lot of that like copy pasta for you. You don't have to copy pasta. You just basically run a command to output a route, and it creates a route for you. And you're like, sweet, it's stubs it out. I think it even stubs out tests for you too, which you should be writing, by the way. Anyways, but yeah, look for it. I think it's called Nest.js. I think that's what it's called. Super cool. I discovered it like 2 months ago. I haven't had a new API yet or a microservice that I've built yet. On top of it, I started one, but I was rebuilding an old one. And I'm like, ooh, I started like weighing out, kind of my options. Like, do I rebuild this old service just to be on a different, different platform or a different templating system, or do I build something new? And I shifted to build something new. That's kind of always how it goes for me. PC Geek, how's it going, man? How's it going? Just ate some pizza and going RV shopping tomorrow. Dude, nice, man. I think that's what you were talking about last week. I hope you get one. I hope it's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. RV Lab incoming. I hope so. RV Lab. That's what I'm talking about. Those, most of the small house and RV gaming, like you combine small house or RV with any other thing you like. And those videos do so well on YouTube. Cause I'm like, yeah, anyways, if you look like there's like RV gaming and stuff like that, it's like, it's just an RV and then they game in it. Anyways, so dude, I hope you get it. RV Lab, there better be at least a couple pies in there, or at least something low powered, some services. If I was buying an RV, absolutely, there'd be something in there, at least some kind of server. I've always wanted a computer in a vehicle for a long time. Even going back to my first car, I was just like, one day I will have a carputer. I always called it carputer. I think that was the term at the time. And I was like, I'm just going to put an old PC in my trunk and run cables up to it in the front. And that's how I'll get my music. That's how I'll get videos, whatever, GPS. It never worked out the way I wanted it to. And now obviously you have mobile devices and CarPlay and, and everything. So it doesn't even make sense anymore. But maybe an RV, it will make some sense. So got to put a server in there and a weather meter or something. The Quantum Penguin, building out a Raspberry Pi cluster and revamping my server. Nice. Yeah, sounds familiar. Sounds familiar. I think everyone, gets a couple of freebies in the beginning with their servers. And I've basically had a couple freebie moments or throwaway moments where I rebuilt my cluster and destroyed it and rebuilt it. So you're allowed a couple. It's just after you get services running on it that it's kind of painful after that. But if you have manifest for everything or you use Helm to install and everything, it makes it super nice. But you got to document it in the proper order too. Moha joke, something about OVH. I'm going to go with, I'm not sure. I apologize. PC Geek, haha, I do have VPN access back to my stuff at home wherever I go. I'm sure I'll be bringing at least my laptop, but for me, no Wi-Fi where we go camping. I like it. I like it. You could build a Wi-Fi tower. Yeah, in your RV. I like it. Pop up an antenna, give yourself Wi-Fi to all your other devices, share your mobile data or something. I don't know. At that point, it's like, well, why not just buy like a MiFi device or something like that? But yeah, it sounds awesome, man. It sounds awesome. I gotta get this one. Bepelgomista. Hi. Have to thank you for letting me discover Proxmox. All right. Thank you for discovering me. Now my job is much easier. Nice. I'm the IT guy in a small analytics lab in Italy. Thank you very much. Hey, Bepel Gomista. I'm sorry. I apologize. Awesome. I'm glad you found Proxmox. I'm glad I found Proxmox. I'm glad you're getting some use out of it. It's a great virtualization system, a great hypervisor, has so many features that are so fantastic, and it's open source. I mean, what else can you say about something like that? It's just fantastic. Glad you found me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, thanks for the bits. Thank you. One Doc Y. Really enjoying your videos. Thank you. Learned so much from them. Currently working with building an H8 Kubernetes cluster, been the source of so much enjoyable frustration. I love it. I hear you. I think you heard my venting. This is the only time I get to vent about it. Every now and then in Discord, I'm like, oh, this is driving me crazy, and it's a one-liner vent. So you got the extended version of that vent, I think here in the beginning of the stream, because I mean, it's my own doing. It's me doing things or not fully checking what I'm doing and just firing commands off with kube control or deleting stuff within Rancher, trying to clean some stuff up and not paying attention. So, but I learned so much from that. Like, like I said earlier, my cluster was partially operational. I had 4 of like 12 endpoints working earlier this week, and it really forced me to dig in and learn some stuff and figure out a better way of doing things, at least for me, more maintainable way of doing stuff, and a more repeatable way of doing stuff, so that if something happens again or I move clusters or whatever, I have all of my manifests to repeat everything that I'm doing. So, anyways, hopefully through this enjoyable frustration that you're experiencing, you're making some documentation to it, and you're learning. So yeah, one Doc Y, thanks, appreciate it. Captain Tibbet, Tim, hey, what's up? El Gadu, that's what I'm going with. Hi, I'm looking to merge chat, a WhatsApp groups with a Discord discussion. Have you ever heard of Matrix and Matrix Bridge? Do you know how to set that up? Oh yeah, no, I haven't. I understand what you're doing. You're trying to merge 2 chat systems. I haven't, to be completely honest. No, I haven't at all. I haven't even heard of Matrix. Besides the Matrix. But I haven't heard of Matrix, and I don't know how to set it up. I'd be willing to look at the docs at some point. Just ping me in Discord. Curious. That's interesting though. So WhatsApp and Discord, bringing those together. Doesn't WhatsApp have end-to-end encryption? So you would have to it sounds interesting to me. It's not something I would want to be a part of if I expected my one WhatsApp chat group to be, I don't know. Maybe this is what you're going for, is that hey, you're trying to bring people together and it's the same group of folks in WhatsApp as it is in Discord, and just making it easier for people to chat. Sounds super interesting. I'd have to look at the docs some more, but I don't know. Wizard Lizard, do you think... I have no idea what you're even asking. Let's go to the next one. Captain Tidbit, I finally took the leap and installed Docker, but couldn't get Rancher to spin up, so I'm trying Portainer, and phew, this thing is a different beast. I'll get it going though. Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. It's a different beast, and so I run both. I run both at home. People always ask me which one do you choose? Docker or Portainer, and I say both, and it really depends on your needs. Or Docker or Portainer, Rancher or Portainer. For me, I run both, and the different use cases for both, right? With Portainer, I just need access to the Docker API and a Docker host, and I'm not gonna go after spinning up these workloads on any other nodes anywhere. I'm really just going to run these containers. And so I have 4 or 5, servers that are just dedicated to containers only, Docker containers. And on top of that, I put Portainer because it's awesome, because it gives me an easy way to manage the Docker API. And so that's what you have to think about. Like, what am I doing with Portainer? I'm really just managing the Docker API. It's so I don't have to put, Docker, init or Docker, whatever. Think about it, and whatever Docker command and Portainer supports it. And so that's why I use Portainer. And it's also great for logging in and execing into things, because obviously you need a terminal to do that. I'm sure you have terminals on your phone or ways to SSH into your servers, but just having a web page to be able to do that is fantastic. So anyways, yeah, it's definitely a different beast. They're trying to, so I'll put it this way. They're trying to address different use cases, right? But using containerization to do that. So they both depend on containerization. With Kubernetes, it's trying to solve a lot of things that I think Kubernetes saw missing in plain old Docker. Obviously, there's Swarm that addresses a lot of those things too. But Kubernetes is trying to address, I guess, gaps in having a single Docker solution. And so that's kind of how you have to think about it. Okay, well, Kubernetes is going to go after higher availability, running, workloads on multiple nodes, handling, health checks, all of that, and cleanup and all kinds of tasks, and, managing containerization infrastructure versus Portainer just managing the Docker API that's installed on that machine. And obviously, Portainer can do Kubernetes as well. That's absolutely an option. And it can also do Swarm. So you have lots of options there. Let's see. Digimoo, would you make a Discord channel? Yeah, I already got one. Oh, I see you have one. Thank you. Zach, hi. Zach, have you ever tried mining? No, this came up last time. I haven't. Some people were schooling me on MineOS and a few other easy ways to get started. I personally haven't. I haven't done either. Mainly because, I didn't know how to get started. And then people saying, "Hey, here's how you get started." And 2, I'm not. I don't know if the return is there. I mean, it'd be great to learn. Don't get me wrong. But what's the ROI besides learning? I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. But do I spend a lot of electricity to make, 4 cents? I don't know. Making this up because I haven't done it. Maybe I should, and I probably should, just to run as a test for a week or a month and see what it is. And it's not about like, hey, do I have to make money off this thing? No, that's not what I mean. I just mean, like, I just don't want to waste a ton of electricity, and so it's more like, okay, can I save by not doing it? But I should do it, absolutely. A lot of people have asked me. A few people gave me some pointers on how to get started. If I do it, I'll absolutely make a video on it, because most of my videos are what I did last week or last weekend or sometime in the near past for my projects. Same reason why I ask you what projects you're working on. But that might be one that's coming up. It's in my backlog to investigate it. And if I investigate it, most of the time I end up doing it. And if I end up doing it, I'm going to record it. So you see how this works? So by suggesting it is a good way to get it in my backlog. So I appreciate it. What about VM gaming with Proxmox versus QEMU versus ESXi? Yeah, sure. I'd need all of those hypervisors up and working and be able to test them all. I'm only running one hypervisor now, and it's Proxmox. And I have used just KVM or QEMU in the past. And I also ran ESXi in the past. And I have something on gaming in Proxmox. So it's there. And really, that video was, for me, just a way, proof of concept, or proof of work to say, hey, I'm able to pass my GPU through. And it actually works well for Steam in-home streaming, but it doesn't work the greatest with RDP. But you can install, Parsec or whatever you want on those machines too to try to get better performance for gaming. And some people have done it and have found reasonable performance depending on their video card and depending on their network. But yeah, I've already looked at there's no way I could spin up all those hypervisors and compare them. Sounds awesome. Just don't have the infrastructure or the time. But I'll add it to my backlog or to my mind's backlog and see if it ends up somewhere virtually too. Because it is interesting, but it takes a ton of infra, and I don't have a ton of infrastructure where I can just I have these servers laying around that are all exactly alike, to control this experiment. Sounds sweet though. Sounds sweet. If I had more time, I definitely would. How Weston? Today I made 176 kilometers on a bike, and now chilling with you guys, dude. Nice, dude. Tech stuff on bikes recently got more interesting with Ant Plus radio technology. I will try to make some home automation with it. Yeah, it sounds awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Linux Tux, recommendations for a good HBA car. Ooh, the LSI ones like PC Geek mentions. I've had one in my entire life, and it's been rock solid for almost a year and a half now. It's in my kit. I don't know. Look in my gear. Use exclamation point gear. I have the exact one I use. You can buy it wherever you want. You don't have to buy it from Amazon. But the one that I have and I use is the one that I virtualized my TrueNAS with, and it's been serving out my 20 terabyte storage for a year and a half. Rock solid, zero problems. For sure. LSI is good, supported on different software. Yeah, for sure. LSI with IT mode. Yeah, for sure. Well, if it's an HBA, it doesn't need to be IT. That's true. Thanks for covering. That's for converting RAID to non-RAID. Absolutely. Any specific? Yeah, absolutely. Links Tux, just use gear or look down in my recommendations or go to kitco/technotim. You'll see it's in there. It's in my, NAS one. It's the one I recommend to everyone because it's the only one I've used and I've had zero problems with it. You can find a good deal on eBay sometimes, but I think people are starting to learn, in general, home lab stuff is super popular. So that, most used stuff is more expensive now than it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, people were just giving stuff away. They could barely give it away. Now they're selling it for a profit. So yeah, for sure. Let's see. Sigor, got a bounce. Just wanted to make sure the resin went through. Nice. Catch you on the VOD. Absolutely. Thanks, man. Dude, appreciate you stopping in. And thanks for resubbing. I really appreciate it, man. Sly Human. Haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Hi. What services are good to make some money? And in the meantime, can I learn something? Thanks. I don't know. I don't know. It just depends. It depends on what services you want to provide, what you want to. Yeah, this one's tough. If I knew, I'd be doing it. If I knew, I'd be doing more of it. I'll put it that way. It's really going to be up to you. If you want to learn just how to host some services, especially custom ones you wrote. I mean, I talked a little bit about Node.js, but it doesn't have to be that way. For me, how I got started early on learning about software and hosting and infrastructure and mobile development was actually creating a mobile app. And that was an easy way for me to create the front end, create an app, learn about app, and create the back end, learn about back end, and then learn the services, get them working, and then, be able to sell it if you want. But app is a crowded space. So that one's going to be tough. It's really going to be up to you. You would learn a ton from doing that. Absolutely, you would learn a ton. Are you going to make money about it? I have no idea. That's going to be up to you and up to, are people willing to pay for the value you're providing? And that's what it all boils down to, right? There's no get rich quick scheme. Just because you make a platform or build something doesn't always mean that people are going to come there either or pay for it. It's hard to get people to pay for anything. People find free alternatives for everything all the time, and they'll do a lot of stuff to not pay for stuff, and they'll put up with a lot of stuff not to pay $1. It's a huge barrier to go from free to $1, and it sounds like it wouldn't be, but it is. It means I gotta buy this app. This one's not free. So it's tough, and app is crowded too. And then off app, then your discovery is really, really poor unless you pay to get discovered. It's hard to find if you start a service and whatever. It's hard to get your name out there, and it's hard to build up a community of people who want to use it, and then it's hard to get people to pay for it. So those are all tough things. You got to figure that out. Hopefully that helps. Pizza Geek, in my opinion, Scale is not a hypervisor. Docker wasn't even enabled by default. I had to turn on. Yeah, Pizza Geek it is though. I think you're using the alpha though. I mean, these are all things that are promised though in the full release. Docker should be there. Kubernetes should be there, and it is a hypervisor. I mean, it has KVM, right? I mean, the alpha. I mean, if you look at their release schedule and their matrix, I think all of those boxes are checked. They just haven't released it yet. Let's see. TLG game. When you have 10 plus pies and ran out of PoE ports, had to order a new Switch. Yeah, I hear you. I don't have 10 plus pies, but I'm the number of PoE devices I have in my house is increasing. It's ever increasing because cameras, access points, and now pies. I wish and I have a 24 port one. I wish I would have done 48. And it's not even that I'm going to have 48 devices that all need PoE. It's just that I only want one Switch, and I don't want to have to think about which one I'm patching in PoE. And maybe that's a waste of a PoE switch, but I'd rather not have to think about it. But they get expensive. Dow Cola. Oh man, if I had known how pain in the butt Vagrant with K3S and HA networking, I probably would have not even started trying. Yeah. Vagrant is adding another layer of networking to everything you're doing. I bet that was tough. I saw that you mentioned in Discord the other day. I think it was yesterday or the day before that you finally got it going. Congratulations. But yeah, that's tough because, Vagrant adds another layer of networking. But yeah, it's totally tough. But congratulations. Yeah, that's why, I don't know. Yeah. So you learned on Vagrant, K3S. Man, yeah. Hopefully you documented it all. I saw you said you documented part of it. Hopefully you got a lot of it because that sounds tough. Martin, Paolini. Hi, there's a guy with an awesome RV lab. The one that hosts a self-hosted podcast. Oh yeah, RV lab. I got to check it out then. Oh, that sounds awesome. What even is in there? Like I was saying, like I was just like naming off a few random things. But yeah, I would definitely have a server in there. I don't know. I would definitely have a server in there. I just don't know what I would host. Sounds awesome. I'll have to check it out. I know there is. And plus, whenever you combine RV with anything, it's awesome because it's a mobile version of the thing that you do normally at home. I'll have to check it out. PC Geek, I had this similar MP3 player kit that I built with computer hard drive that powered from a cigarette lighter so I could play tunes in my car, which was a 94 Dodge Caravan. Nice, dude. I can use my phone for a hotspot for now, but I think I have unlimited hotspot in my new plan. Yeah, I do too. But if you want more range, I don't know why you would park an RV and then need Wi-Fi outside of the RV, but yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, it's not worth doing. Or if you had a point-to-point where, I don't know, maybe you went somewhere and the campsite had, Wi-Fi, but you wanted to pick up that Wi-Fi further away and then hardwire into your RV or rebroadcast. I have no idea. I'm just making this up as I go. But yeah, sounds awesome. But yeah, car stuff, back in the day, I was just like, how do I get a computer in my car? And yeah, you figured it out. With computer hard drive. I never went that far. I had a weird little FM tuner that I plugged into my MP3 player, and I was like, this is as good as it gets for now. I can broadcast and tune in my radio and hear my MP3 player. It was fantastic at the time. Zach, I read about poor performance of Proxmox GPU pass-through. What about you? Oh, I haven't noticed any performance per se or degradation at all. I use NVENC. I haven't. The only thing I can think of would be like the double GPU or encode if you're doing it remotely. If you're playing a game on the hypervisor and then using a remote tool to encode that like Parsec, like it's working double time, one to do the 3D render and two to transcode that back to you over the network. That's the only thing I can think of. But just a performance hit for virtualizing it, I haven't noticed. But I don't remote into the machine that I'm using. I'm just strictly using NVENC and the GPU only. I only remote in to check to see if it's working still or fixing something. PC Geek, I think it depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to play games, high FPS stuff, I'd say building a gaming rig and skip the virtualization through Proxmox. Yeah, I totally agree. Or you can do both too, right? You could skip the double taxing on your GPU as if you had it right here and it was both your, if you pass through that GPU and pass through whatever keyboard, all your peripherals, and then ran, a Proxmox box that was also your gaming box. So, and basically don't do it over the remote, do it physically, and just that GPU that's passed through, plug in a monitor to. I think Holy Mark Manny did that for a little bit. But yeah, for sure. But I'm not sure about just like a performance hit just for virtualizing. I mean, overall, people say you get, 2 to 5% overhead from virtualizing, but I'll pay that any day to not have, one of each thing to spin up a new server. Could you imagine if it was, 20 years ago and, instead of me having 15 virtual servers, there were 15 real servers. I can imagine with a Pi, but not with x86 stuff. It'd just be like, woof. But yeah, you can run a VM on a rig, VirtualBox, if you want to mess with this stuff. While MS is trying to buy Discord anyways. Yeah, VirtualBox is a great way to test virtualization or get started. Yeah, I talk about that a lot. That's like my first intro. If you are interested in doing home lab stuff, like VirtualBox is a great way to get started because you have everything you need on a PC for the most part, or a laptop. Yeah, Microsoft trying to buy Discord. Yeah, that's interesting. What, $11 billion or something? Woo. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And I'm sure Discord wants it to go through. I mean, obviously, or they wouldn't be entertaining. And I'm sure Microsoft wants it to go through. I'm sure they want to, they want a hip and cool chat client for both Xbox and who knows whatever else. But Microsoft, yeah. Zach Wern, hey, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, Microsoft though, they bought what? They bought Skype, they bought Yammer, they bought, what else did they buy? They bought all kinds of chat clients. And man, hopefully it doesn't happen to Discord too. And it's not even, maybe it's what Microsoft does to it. Who knows? But at the same time, I think people's preferences change over time. So we'll see. Oh, interesting though. Interesting for sure. Grouse, hi, how's it going? Zach, thanks. Now I've received a Xeon 2680 V4. Nice, dude. Grouse, have you ever tried SRIOV with graphical card? Do you have some advice or materials or recommendation? I haven't. And if you want to know more about SRIOV, Level 1 Text and Windows has a ton of stuff on it. I haven't. To me, it sounds awesome to be able to divide up your video card or whatever into, smaller units. I think that's the general idea of it. I haven't. I would love to be able to do that. I would love to be able to do that and be able to share my video card across multiple virtual machines or whatever. That's the future I want to live in, where, I could have one video card right now, my 3090, spin up 5 virtual machines on this machine and have them each take advantage of it, and let the OS figure it out. Like, I don't want to have to do anything. Don't make me think about it. Just work. And a lot of times it's either licensing and driver stuff and, old thinking or money that people want you to pay to be able to do this. And so they're all, it just kind of stinks. Anyways, haven't done it. I would love to. That's my dream. That's my dream. Because then I don't have to think about like, hey, now, because I have multiple virtual machines with multiple video cards pass through only because of some limitation that, NVIDIA puts in place. And because they don't have the software to support the other thing. But I'm sure if it was open source and I'm sure, there was a way to, people would figure it out. So I would love to live there in that world. And I hope that world's coming soon because it means less video cards for me. And it's not like I'm going to stop buying video cards. I'll just have better use of the video cards because they're, or whatever the hardware is. It would be awesome. Thank you. Mafni, thank you. Martini, Paoloni. This RV guy uses Home Assistant and sensors to automate some of the stuff like heating. Nice. He also hosts Plex and has a DVR for some board cameras. Nice. Yeah. So now I'm getting all kinds of ideas. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would be sweet because then you could transcode. You basically set up your second Plex like a client and transcode and take your movies offline so that you can have them on the go. That sounds super awesome. Yeah, sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm getting ideas as we go. That sounds awesome. PC Geek, take notes. Oh yeah. PC Geek is Metro by T-Mobile. I have no idea. Maybe? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I use T-Mobile, but I don't know if Metro is. Grauas, Moonlight seems better than Parsec. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people talk about Moonlight too. It's a fantastic project. Yeah, I haven't had a need for either of the two yet. If I ever do, I'll evaluate them both and go with one. But yeah, it's another popular one that comes up all the time. Z-Sign. Z-Sign. That's what I'm going with. Does anyone know if Jails and FreeNAS, TrueNAS work with Proxmox? I'm building a new home server and planning to migrate my bare metal FreeNAS to install Proxmox. In the interim, I was wondering if my existing Jails would work eventually, migrate Plex into a standalone VM or container, but I wondered if it would work. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like PC Geek says, I don't know that they'll work. And it all boils down to the technology behind it, and that all boils down to the operating system that they're running. Because, Jails is a BSD thing, whereas, Linux doesn't have Jails. They use Docker or use some other containerization method for it. Yeah, so, I mean, you're going to have to migrate them. It's not as painful as you think. It may or may not be, and it depends on your config and how they're set up. But there's no easy path to migrate other than, hey, remember your config or copy down your config, spin up the new thing on Linux or Proxmox or whatever. It's going to be on either a virtual machine or who knows, maybe an LXC, and spin it up there. I mean, that's going to be the easiest path for me that I can think of for sure. In some form of containers that BSD run. Yeah, for sure. Angel of the Odd. I'm wiring a Pi to my power wheelchair to turn it into a mobile hotspot. Always on. Nice. I love it. Insp. Hey, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Insp. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. The Pi will be tethered to an iPhone via USB. The iPhone wireless hotspot alone works like crap. You have to toggle it on and off and make sure it's connectable. Pi will always be connectable. Yeah, I like it. So it's always going to just advertise that SSID. And then when you actually need network, then you just plug in your iPhone. And that will obviously then share that connection. Oh, I love it. This is similar to kind of a smaller version of what I was talking about for the RV. Just broadcast it, at a wider range. Sounds awesome. Mobile hotspot on the wheelchair. Fantastic. Angel of the Odd, thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. How are you? Mr. Choosy Lover. Is that Johnny Depp? No. He's got the day off. That's a neat idea, running a couple IP cameras on site with the RV. Yeah, another one I didn't think of. That sounds fantastic too. PC Geek, I was saying that I have a Metro by T-Mobile. It turns out it's not unlimited hotspot. It's 5 gigs. Gotcha. I have unlimited everything else though. Yeah, I got in early on some T-Mobile plan that does not exist. It's what a lot of ISPs do. They offer some plan and then you get stuck on it. And so you're like, I'm never going to change the plan because I lose this feature. And I did something like the Everything North America plan, and I have unlimited data, hotspot, everything for multiple lines, all of North America, so Canada and Mexico included. And I'm like, I'm never leaving this thing. And it's T-Mobile, so it's reasonably priced, so it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I don't know if they offer it anymore, but every time I look or even consider, it doesn't exist anymore. So I'm like, yeah, not going to switch. Not going to switch. Zach Wern, are you able to accept YouTube memberships on your channel? I think so. I think some people are members. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. I'm just going to say yes because I know that people are members because I get notifications when they become members, and I see members' comments first in the dashboard for YouTube Studio. So the answer is yes. I've just never been asked that question before. But yeah, yes. Ketty Gaming. I'm beginning to use my VLAN in my home network on my Cisco 3750 switch stack. Nice, nice. So you're beginning to use VLANs at home. Yeah, I was always scared. I don't want to say scared, but I'd use VLANs everywhere I worked at, but I never had to build and design and manage my own. I was always kind of like, oh, how do I do that? And so I always just segmented my traffic. I did it the old school way, where I just create different subnets and firewall rules in betweens and routes and default gateways, just because I just didn't know how to do it. And I never spent the time to learn how to do it. But once I did, I was like, this is actually fantastic. More switch port configuration and stuff like that. But that's all easy once you figure it out. But yeah, it's fantastic. I went kind of wide. I think I have 5 or 6 VLANs now. I think I have an extra one. I don't know why I have an extra one because I never fully used it. Hey, Gorfy, dude, Gorfy, how are you, dude? Gorfy gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Dude, thank you so much. Gorfy, how have you been, man? Angry Tomato, Bonners, Billy Quiz Boy, Chewbaccawa, my secure gift. Man, thanks, Gorfy, for the gifted subs. Appreciate it. Dude, I'm good, man. How have you been? Hopefully everything's going well with you. I think last I knew what you were working on, you were building the rack, a newer rack, but obviously I've talked to you since then. Hopefully everything's well. Dude, thank you so much, man. I forgot that my 8-bit noise is so loud, so I apologize. Yeah, man, how are you? Thank you so much, dude. So generous. Thank you. Grouse, I totally agree with your SRIOV. I have passed a lot of time looking on how I can do it, but it's similar, but it looks a bit complicated with the license and everything. Thanks for what you do. Hey, no problem. Your videos have motivated me to buy a better server to play with Kubernetes. Hey, no problem at all. No problem at all. Yeah, I don't fully understand SRIOV. That's, this is my interpretation of it and what I've learned from Wendell on level 1 techs and some from craft computing. So, my theories might not be correct, or my assumptions of how it works might not be correct. But it's definitely, the capability it provides, I hope is a future we can all live in. So we're not restricted by drivers or by companies not wanting you to unlock features that already exist and basically creating a paywall with licensing, because that kind of stinks. Like I don't know. I won't go on. I could go on about it for a long time, but I'm not going to. I just wish that there wasn't, that paywall for some of that tech, and that paywall then is really to buy a new piece of hardware, and it's not even that your hardware that you already bought couldn't support the thing that you want to do. Just like artificially restricting how many streams you can encode on a consumer GPU to 2. It's like, and they do it through software. It's like, come on. Anyways, I get it. They want to make money off stuff, but you're making plenty of money off this stuff, and they want to charge enterprises more because obviously they have a different workload than consumers. But at the same time, I think the more of these more consumers who demand it, or the more software that comes out that needs these features, I think it'll hopefully influence the change. But I think it'll be people it's going to be people voting with dollars, and AMD's not artificially restricting a lot of their stuff. And people will start voting with their dollars, and that's why I'm so glad that there's competition. I mean, we only have AMD and AMD and Nvidia, and arguably kind of Intel, not really, kind of, sorta, and who knows? I mean, Intel's starting to do some of this stuff in their newer CPUs, and they have been for a long time in some of their CPUs. But I wish there was more competition. Hopefully, people vote with their dollars. And then the companies who realize that people are voting with their dollars for certain features, then unlock those features. I'm being very vague about the companies that do this, but I think you guys all know who I'm talking about. Blue. I wish Windows Server was easier to automate deployment with WDS, chicken and the egg problem, or modifying install ISOs every time I have to work with it. I wonder how they got so much market share. First, I think it's easy to get market share when you're first. First, compatibility, enterprise. I think that has a lot to do with where they were, and a lot of it was compatibility for sure. I mean, they've always been compatible. That's their thing. It's why they still support 32-bit apps. Where Mac OS was like, see ya. So anyways, yeah, I haven't done a lot of WDS. I know that Craft Computing has a great video on it. But yeah, it's tough. Because you think of things like, Ubuntu and you got Cloud init, that seems pretty easy. And that's not a full management solution. It's more of a deployment solution. And it's relatively easy to get working. Yeah, Windows, I think Windows is going to get there. Even the restore from the cloud now that they have, which I used like 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. I can finally use it. It was pretty cool. I'm like, Max had this for like 5 years. But I assume features like that Windows thinks are important, especially to enterprise users, right? Who uses WDS. It's going to be enterprise users. I mean, obviously home lab people as well too. But they're probably learning because they want to use it in the enterprise or do use it in the enterprise or think it's a better solution than doing it manually themselves. And so Microsoft's going to continue to invest in those types of things, or they just scrap it and breathe that tech into some other new system like they like to do too. Who knows what they do? But yeah, I mean, I can't knock Windows a lot. This whole entire stream is basically running on Windows. I mean, all of my services that you see are running in Linux. So, I mean, without Windows, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be possible. I mean, there'd be some other Windows, right? If Windows wasn't here, and maybe that other Windows would be Mac, maybe be Linux, and it'd be vice versa. So I can't knock them too much because I get a lot done on Windows machines, a lot more done than I used to, even in the last 4 or 5 years with WSL. So I use Windows, Max, Linux, and I choose the right tool for the job. And sometimes it's because I have to, and sometimes it's because it's the only tool, and sometimes it's just the easier tool. So, but yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. Let's see. To Corfy, thanks again, man. I appreciate it, dude. Scarlax, what is the situation with switches in North America? I cannot get a 10 gig rack mounted switch with 12 plus ports nowhere in Middle Europe. Is it the same situation like there is with GPUs? I don't know. I haven't been in the market to buy 10 gig switches personally. I think it is. I think a lot of the things that we're seeing now is, I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the world. They're still going on. And so, hardware in general is taking a huge hit because production is totally down. And, people are making a lot of changes to things they haven't had to make changes to in their infrastructure. And so I don't know. I blame it all on production because people aren't able to work and produce these. And I mean, maybe the demand has gone up, but it's, for me, mostly the supply has gone down for a lot of the things that I'm seeing I'm paying more of. Like RAM is a good example. I was just talking about that a couple of days ago. Someone was talking about DDR4 and I went and looked and found the model I bought only 4 months ago, and it was already 50% more. And I was like, whoa, like this should be going down in price, But I blame it on production. I'm just making it up. That's my assumption. But, factories aren't, they're not cranking out the stuff they used to be able to crank out, a year and a half ago. So, yeah, so then supply goes down. Angel of the Odd, 3750 is a good platform to learn on. You can use VRFs also. Nice. Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, great suggestion. Yeah, and you can use VRS, which I assume is similar to SRIOV. I don't know. See, this is where my knowledge I need to do a little bit more research in. I'm on the fringe of what I know when it comes to this area. That's why I always go back to level and text and window, and I'm just like, okay, what does he say? Okay, all right, that's what that is. I study his videos more than any. Well, I watch a lot, obviously for entertainment, but I learn a ton of stuff that I don't normally have experience with from Windows stuff. So yeah, Keddy Gaming, how is your network going? Network is great. How's my network? Yeah, it's like, how are your kids? Yeah, they're good. Little Bobby, no. Anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about. Let me grab a drink. Network's great. I haven't changed much. I mean, I've added devices to it. I haven't added many VLANs to it. I've been stricter on my VLANs. I've been making conscious efforts of only putting workloads in specific VLANs that need to be there. Making lots of firewall rules and exceptions. for those devices that are on those VLANs that need to communicate with other VLANs. So a lot of network administration lately. But most of it is really firewall rules. It's a DHCP reservation. It's build a firewall rule for this new thing, restrict it to the IP and restrict it to that port. I mean, I do most restrictive when I do firewall rules, so that I only know that device on that port is only able to communicate with this other device on this other port. And that's about it. I installed some new cameras on my VLAN. For cameras the other day, and I was just like, why did I do this again? I'm like, oh yeah, duh, because I don't want give my cameras direct access to the internet. And so, there are things like that. So I planned well in advance for the things that I'm still doing today, and everything I put in place is still working kind of the way it should. For the most part. I have a unified network. I absolutely love it. There's one thing I don't love, but everything else is so fantastic. Especially the apps. The apps they blow me away. Because if you think of trying to manage any other web UI for some switch or anything in a web UI, it's just like, oh my gosh, like this is so it has so many usability issues. And my Unify app with my Unify network, if you use it, it's so great to be able to go in, configure, see what a device is, do a DHCP reservation. Anyways, I love it. But network is good. I talked a little bit earlier about I wish I had a 48 port switch. I'm not there yet, but I think eventually I will be. But other than that, great. I've had zero problems. I can't think of anything to complain about, except for logging. That's the one thing I'll always caution anybody about if they ever think about Unify's logging is terrible. I can't even comment on it because it doesn't exist unless you go into a terminal and look at it. So, I mean, it's the one thing. It's like, yeah. But anyways, network is, fantastic. Tip-top shape, at least according to all of my dashboards. I'm trying to think what else, anyways, Pi-hole. Yeah. Anyways, maybe I'll submit a feature request for Pi-hole because, I use Pi-hole now. So this is kind of a different layer of the network stack, but use Pi-hole for my DNS. I do wish that Pi-hole, and I use it for my local DNS. I do wish that Pi-hole had a way to filter out local DNS requests from a lot of the reporting because it artificially inflates some of my metrics. And it makes my browsing habits look a little bit better because if I have a bajillion requests to local machines, they kind of get mixed in there. But I also want to, I want to filter those from DNS requests too. I only want to see ones that are actually sent out or forwarded to my upstream DNS and not necessarily local DNS requests too. I mean, I obviously want to see them, but just not combined. It's kind of weird. Anyways, but yeah, network. Fantastic. I mean, tons of visibility. It's working great. If something goes wrong, I'm quick to know because the apps are quick to alert, and so is my UDM Pro. So it's pretty awesome. Ahuj, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. How are you? Let's see. Sorry, I totally got lost by that one. PC Geek, you can probably get them here, but it will cost you. Yeah. Gorfy, built the rack, been neck deep in building a 4'10 privacy fence, a 4'10 privacy fence myself because the only quote I could get was 4K for the labor alone. Man, yeah, it's ridiculous. I agree, PC Geek. It's expensive. I have it's expensive. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot of labor too. I'm not downplaying it. It's a ton of work. It's to post holes and post and depending on the type of fence you get and then the type of fence determines a lot and labor is always going to be a huge cost, probably bigger than the materials. But yeah, I've my fence is hanging in there. I'm almost to the point where I need one, but mine's hanging in there. yeah. Anyways, I won't go into some of the things with my fence because I could talk about my fence. It's old. It needs some help. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Maybe I'll move. That'll be the make me move for my house, is like not wanting to spend $4K on getting a new fence, because that's a huge investment. That means you're going to be there for a while. But anyways, enjoy it, Gorfy, dude. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Scarlex, I'm willing to spend 15K USD, no problem. But they're simply not available. 1.5K. Okay. I was like, geez, what do you buy? What kind of switch are you buying? What's WDS? I like WDS for Windows installing. Yeah, it's Windows Deployment Services. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You need Server Edition to run it? Absolutely. Today's stream brought to you by Windows. Yeah, it kind of always is. I've debated a Linux stream, and I'm almost to the point where I can, because I still dual boot Linux. The only thing is my GoXLR doesn't work the greatest with Linux, and my Stream Deck absolutely doesn't. Do I need those to stream from Linux? No, I could figure it out. But I kind of want to just be able to like dual boot like I do now and have things just work in Linux, and most things do. It's just a couple of specialized pieces of hardware I can't. PC Geek, Gorfy, I don't remember for sure where it came from. I think someone mentioned it while on stream. I might have been in one of my suggestions too. Who knows? Do Blue. I just wish there was some equivalent to Kickstarter for Windows Server, Kickstart Windows Server, deploying CentOS servers with boot args and pointing them out to config files over HTTP, and being able to use Ansible to any of my hypervisors. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, PC Geek sysprep, and that goes way back. Like I used sysprep way back in Windows 2000 days. You set up your machine, configure it how you want, and then you sysprep the machine so it strips out all of the licensing information, computer name, and then that will strip the stuff out. And then there's like a setup unattended. Whoa, I'm digging deep on my old tech support stuff. Then there's like a setup unattended file that are answers for it. So almost similar to Cloud Init. And the setup unattended file will have like machine name, license, company name. I forget. You'd have to look at it. And so when that machine boots up for the first time, if you only sysprep it, you still have to manually fill out the stuff. But then if you have this setup unattended file, I think it's called, it can fill out that for you. And maybe WDS can supply that for you too over the network. It's been a while since I've done it. But it absolutely is possible. It's just maybe different than CentOS or any other Linux distribution. But Windows has had automated deployments for decades. Otherwise, I was doing it, I don't know, back in tech support. That was 10, 15, 20 years ago. I don't even remember. I can't even think right now. And, we were imaging things with Semantic Ghost and doing, deployments over a Pixie boot. And this is, we're talking, Windows XP days. So it's all there. It's all there. The same tech in some form is still there to be able to do it, for sure. VTCN, automating Windows Server deployments can be done the same way as Linux. Use Ansible or PowerShell DSC to configure. Yeah, there you go. Capture the image, Clonezilla. Absolutely. Yeah, but and then the very last thing you need to do, like PC Geek mentioned, sysprep that thing. And then if you want to automate the boot up and like join a domain, that's what we used to do with our setup unattended file. You have an answers file that you create and put on that machine before you sysprep it. This is old tech, so it's probably changed. But you supply an answers file after you sysprep it, so that when it starts up for the first time, it knows how to join the domain, it knows the license key, it knows all of that stuff. And then if you have that, then after that, then you can Ansible all the things, right? You have to get everything on the machine to be able to do that before you sysprep it. So then when it comes up, it can automatically join your network, and then you can Ansible all the things afterwards. WDS lets you pick different unattended files. Nice. Can be based on client 2. You can pre-stage new devices. When it's done, it will be domain joined and everything if you want. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. No more setup unattended file text files. Hey, that's how I do it. That's how we used to do it. And then we use this thing by IBM, which is actually pretty cool for an IBM product. Not that, most of them are anymore, but it's actually pretty cool. They were kind of ahead of their time for imaging. Day Trade Bro. I'm a bit new to WDS, for example. I have built a brand new computer and I have WDS on another machine. How do I initiate Windows install on a new machine? Do I need to plug in a flash drive or something? Yeah, you can do a Pixie boot. Pixie boot, absolutely. Yep, Pixie boot or F12. Or if you end up doing a Pixie boot, I mean, this goes back to the product we used to use. We could power over Ethernet. So we would PoE power, we would send a magic packet, wake the machine up. And then the machine had a setting to say, hey, if I was woken up by a magic packet, the first thing I'm going to boot to is the network. So you didn't even need to hit F12. So wake on LAN, automatically boot to network. So it would Pixie boot, and then it would connect to whatever, your system of choice. We used something called Director way back in the day. Then that would communicate with Director, and same thing on WDS. It would supply an image, supply an unintended file, then boot up. And then when it has the unintended file, it can supply answers for how it joins the domain, what network, machine, whatever. And then possibly even log in the first time, then Ansible it. But yeah, that's what we used to do. And some BIOSes have that setting to basically say like, hey, if I woke up from LAN, if I was started by a magic packet, the first thing I want to do is boot to network. And if you have that setting, it's fantastic, because then you could just PoE boot the thing, boots to network, and does all that thing, everything for you automatically. And whatever, 10 minutes later, you have a domain join machine that's Windows that's ready to go. And then you can Ansible do all the things you want to do, or SMS or SCCM, whatever you want to use. But yeah, man, I'm going back on my Windows knowledge. It's been a while. WDS sends out the Pixie boot, boot P, Pixie boot image, nice. PC Geek Craft Computing has a couple videos. Yeah, I mentioned that too. Sid Cassidy, are you using Unified Docker Container Image for management? No, I'm not. So ever since I got a Unify Pro, I'm not, because it comes on there. I did before for over a year, because I have had Unify access points here for a while. But ever since getting a Unify Pro, I don't run it anymore, because I want to run it on that machine. But yeah, I did run it in Docker. So to answer your question, if I were still running it and didn't have a Unify Pro, 100%, I'd still be running in Docker for sure. Day Trader Bro, awesome. Take a look into this. Yeah, PC Geek, thank you, dude. Maddie, off topic. What earbuds are you using? Yeah, these are Beats. These are Beats. Yeah, Beats earbuds. That's it. And I got these. So I have, I won't go too much into it, but I have these Beats Wireless Pro. So I have these. These are my absolute favorite for wireless Bluetooth headphones. Because one, charging case, like all the things you want to say about wireless headphones. I use an iPhone, so it's super easy. I have an Apple TV and they can connect there. It's super easy. So anyways, when I was looking, I was like, okay, I need to plug in something to my MacBook that has the adapter that I forget what it's called, like TX or something, that can do both microphone and headphones, so I can do Zoom calls without having, this in front of my face. Like, it's pretty cool to join a Zoom call like this, but at the same time, people are like, whoa, what is going on in there? And sometimes if the lights start flashing, then they're really like, whoa, this guy means business. But anyways, these are just Beats. I'm sure you can find a different version of them. They're more expensive than they probably should have been, but I don't know. I enjoyed them. They have a flat cable. They plug right into my MacBook Pro, but I have a dongle that I switch between my Go XLR and here. I don't really need this microphone while I'm on stream, but it's there. It's there, and it's nice because when I plug it into my Android device or directly into my MacBook or any Windows machine that only has a single port, I get mic and headphones at the same time. So, but yeah, that's it. It's nothing too exotic. They're just enough, and I think they're good for, I don't know. I listen to a ton of music during the day while I work, and they're great for that. I kind of was like, do I need wireless headphones while I'm sitting at my desk all day? I don't. So, ever since we've been working from home, these haven't gotten a lot of use, my wireless ones. So anyways, hello from Portugal. Hey, Diabetes Tech. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. PC Geek. Otherwise would be on the gateway. Yeah. Oh, I missed something. Thank you for the gear link. I think switch, if it's layer 3 switch, depends on what your infra is. Sorry, I missed this. Is inter VLAN routing on Unified done switch, router, or gateway? I agree. I think it's on the switch. I think it's on the switch for sure. Yeah, I think you nailed it. I I could be wrong. I don't know. To be honest, my Unify, it does get a lot of use, but I don't use the switch ports on there. I use everything from my Switch Pro, mainly because they're PoE and mainly because how I have my home lab arranged. Just I can't get to those ports very easily. I think it's done on the Switch though. I'd have to look. I'll have to look at the documentation. Dublu, true, but I'm gonna figure out if there's a way to do it before WS exists. That's why it's called chicken and the egg problem. To stand up ADDS, ADCS. If there's a way to do it before WDS exists, there is. I kind of talked through the manual way of doing it. It's kind of how we used to do it. But yeah. Ping me in Discord, or ping anyone in Discord. We can talk about it more. We have an automation channel where we talk about that stuff. Rakusa, or Rack USA. I'm going Rakusa. I like it. Hey, I've used a couple of your tutorials on YouTube and set up stuff on my servers, and they're very helpful. Thank you. After watching your pfSense tutorial, decided to try to install OpenSense on a VM in Proxmox. I know what's coming next. I use pass-through NIC, and I don't understand how I have a physical router in the LAN physical port. Do I give my VM on a virtual port? Do I just do a Linux bridge to the physical LAN port? There's a couple ways you can do it. This is not what I thought it was going to be, because every now and then, anyways, I won't go on that tangent. So what I would do, if you only have one NIC dedicated to that virtual machine, I wouldn't create a Linux bridge. I would pass that NIC directly through to that virtual machine that's running pfSense or OpenSense, and have that be your WAN port. So that virtual machine now has direct access to your modem or whatever's behind it that connects to your ISP. Have that be your WAN port. And then, depending on how many ports you have, if you have another port, then you can pass that one through as well, and have that be a LAN port that goes to a switch. Or if you don't have enough ports, then you would connect it to a Linux bridge, which is like basically a virtual switch. And then your management port into your server probably becomes connected to that virtual switch as well. That's probably how it's going to be set up. It just depends on how you want to do it. But one definitely needs to go, you pass it directly through, I would, to your modem, to your WAN, however you connect to your WAN. That's how I do it. And if you have multiple, you can do it a million different ways. The Scowl, are they proper layer 3 switches? Yeah, I mean, so mine is. So I have the USG Pro Gen 2 switch, 24 port PoE, and mine is. At least they say it is. So yeah, that was one of the features of my switch, was that, along with PoE++ and 24 ports. But yeah, absolutely, like PC Geek mentions, yeah, look into it. But mine is, and if you're gonna look for the one I'm using, it is the PoE Gen 2 Switch Plus. There's a lot of monikers in there that denote what type of switch it is, because they have two that are very close, but mine's the Gen 2, and the Gen 2 should have layer 3. Dublu, that's what I'm going with. I like it. And without having customized images laying about on my ISO repo. And without having customized image, I see, laying about my ISO repo. Yeah, WDS does some form of deduplication. Yeah, and if you didn't want any customized images, well, besides the one that you capture, you could use one. Eventually, you're going to have to update it with patches. You know, this is kind of like, hey, how up to date do you keep your image? You know, it's a snapshot in time. Eventually, you might have to update it, but you might say, hey, after whatever, Windows 10, 2004, and 2004 Ubuntu is. Windows is getting kind of close to there. Yeah, they're almost getting close in build numbers. Anyways, you know, you can capture that image, and the older that image gets, the more you're going to have to patch later. And then you could have config drift too. All right, you start imaging machines, and then you realize, oh, I did this one thing on all of these machines. I might as well add that to the image. So there's always going to be some kind of maintenance. but rarely will you need more than one image, and it just depends on your needs. Depends on the role. I'll say that. If it's a different type of role, you might need a different image. Maybe not. And then, or maybe you just keep it all vanilla, and then define your roles in Ansible with your automation tool later. It just depends. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Ansible makes it a lot easier now to do these types of things. Back in the day, we had to make different types of images for different types of roles. And then either strip or add things depending on that role. And we baked it into the image. Now, you don't really have to do that because you can do it later. And arguably, we could have done it way back in the day with SMS, which is now SCCM, which is now probably something else. PC Geek, if you run, say, a Windows 10 Pro and a home image install, one has the main copy of the core files. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. That are the same between them and do similar sets of files that are unique to each. Yeah, good call. I didn't know that. So, yeah, good call. So if you have, different editions of Windows, I guess WDS will dedupe those core files that are the same. Yeah, good to know. Kitty Gaming, I just installed some Unified 6 lights for SMB. It was easy, but still fun. Yeah, I totally, it sounds fun. I haven't, I've looked at their Wi-Fi 6 devices. I've looked at their Nano devices. I still have AC Pros. I'm like, can I upgrade? Should I upgrade? Will I upgrade? But I haven't yet. But yeah, awesome to know it was easy. I totally agree that Unify makes installing stuff so easy. I mean, I this morning I was outside installing a camera and it was just basically plug it in. The app tells me, hey, there's a new device. Do you want to configure it? Yes. Boom, done. And it's the same way with the access points. It can get a little tricky. I've done both hardware join wirelessly, so in isolated mode, and then plugged in, and they're both pretty easy. The wireless join in isolated mode, if you mess that up, then you got to hard reset it. And it's kind of hard to mess up, but I have personally. But yeah, it's super awesome, especially if you have the app on your phone too with Bluetooth. It can discover them via Bluetooth and even configure it then to join to your network, even if it can't discover the Wi-Fi access, the other access points around it. There's so many options. They've made it super easy. Totally agree. Get you Wi-Fi 6. If you move to Tennessee, I have an Augur you can borrow. Nice, man. Yeah. Nice. Tennessee's probably getting some pretty decent weather. I always know about this time, like I have friends and family that live in Tennessee. And when I see their photos around Easter time, I'm like, man, you guys got green grass already and like flowers blooming? I'm like, man, the tulips are barely coming up here in Minnesota. But yeah, that's hard work, man. Putting up your own fence is hard work. Digging those posts and cementing them in, woof. PC Geek, so you don't have 2 full copies of Windows images to cover both. Yeah, totally agree. Diabetes Tech, I have WatchGuard T30 firewall, but no license to web control. What would you recommend to complement the firewall and web control? Yeah, for me, I use, if I think about, content control in general and just bad domains in general, I always go Pi-hole. I always go Pi-hole for my DNS. And before that, I used some form of something else. I can't even remember. But Pi-hole is all I've used for years now because it's fantastic. It has a great UI. It's easy to control. And I can use it for local DNS and CNAMEs too. You probably wouldn't use this. You probably have something better in place with your firewall. Maybe not. Maybe you want local DNS to be there on Pi-hole, but it's there. Hey, Palace Media, subscribe, tier 1, 3 months. Dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. How are you? Oh, man, interesting. So anyways, Palace, how are you? I was going to say pious. Now I'm going to say pious only because it's fun to say. But dude, thank you so much. Tier 1, 3 months. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you. How are you? Anyways, if you're struggling with licensing for content control, I would totally go with Pi-hole because it's free, open source, has a great UI, it's huge support, it's very popular. You have pretty good control over which domains get resolved or blocked, and it's crowd favorite. I feel like, but yeah, Diabetes Tech, yeah, give that a shot. It's super easy to use and it's very, very lightweight. You can run it on a Pi 2, Pi 0, whatever you want, because it's just doing name resolution, very lightweight, and it's very awesome. I mean, you can virtualize it, you can containerize it, you can run it on Pi, you can run it on anything. So lots of options. PC Geek, Windows audit mode plus sysprep for the win. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. Same process. It's the same process. Tim, you got awesome. All right. So things haven't changed much. Yes. Like I said, I'm operating off of like older knowledge because I used to do tech support stuff, and I used to love automating deployment of Windows and deployment of software. It's why I'm probably a software developer now, because I love the automation and love the repeatability of code. But yeah, it's good to know that things haven't changed. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. It either means they have a really good pattern, or they just have decided not to change. I'm going with a really good pattern. Kraft did a video on content filtering. I can't remember what the app is for sure. I think it's Pi-hole. Yeah, he did two. He did one back in the day. It was like, it wasn't Net Nanny, but the similar idea, content filtering. But then he's done ones on Pi-hole too. I would absolutely just go Pi-hole. I would go Pi-hole because it's no brainer, and it's open source. Can you continue to be developing it? It works great. Oh yeah, NX filter. Yeah, that's it. There. Yeah. I've never, until that video, I've never met anyone who used it. So I can't recommend something I haven't used. So if I was to give a personal recommendation on something I believe and trust in, it would absolutely be Pi-hole. There's also Untangle. Yeah, I totally agree. I used Untangle for a long time, and they have a built-in ad block rack. I love Untangle still. I love the concept of it, because Untangle was this idea that your firewall, your gateway was this virtual rack, and you can add more devices to your virtual rack and stack them in your virtual rack. So you had your router, and then you could put ad blocking in, and then you could put VPN in, and you were just building this virtual rack. It was actually such a cool idea. Hopefully they still have that UX, because I loved it. It was easy to grasp. You know, instead of add-ins and plugins and where they belong, it was like, no, I have this virtual rack of switches, and I can toggle them on and off, and those were those plugins. It was pretty awesome. Oh yeah, pfSense can do it too. Absolutely. I think pfSense is PF blocker for sure. For sure. Diabetes Tech, talking about Unify. Do you know if Unify Cloud Gen 2 Plus can handle 41 APs? Oh, I hope so. I don't know the answer to that. Let me grab a drink. I don't know the answer to that. You'd have to look at what their, look at their specs and see if there are any requirements or limitations. I don't know off the top of my head. 41 APs is a lot. I'm jealous of someone who gets to manage 41 access points, because that means that sounds like a ton of fun, or a lot of headaches. But hopefully it's going okay. Yeah. Kitty Gaming. I'm 16, so a lot to learn. Hey man, you have a lot of time to learn it too. So yeah, awesome. Scarlax. Next video suggestion: changing a NIC in Proxmox to some 4 ports NICs with aggregation to separate channels for backup and storage. Nice. Yeah, sounds fun. Sounds fun. I do have lag set up on my Proxmox, and I did do it in one video. I have it more for redundancy and a little bit to kind of split up, do a little bit of load balancing depending on the client it's talking to, but more for redundancy. Sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. I need some more switch ports. Rakusa, thank you. Yeah, no problem. VTCN. They're beyond 2004. Are we talking about Windows? Maybe. Angel of the Odd. Instead of allocating a NIC up to the guest OS, I prefer to just lag multiple NICs at the hypervisor switch level, trunk the VLANs up to it, plop your ISP modem on access port, and then bring the VLAN up to your guest OS virtual router. Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. It sounds like a way better design than I had. Yeah, thank you, Angela Vod. PC Geek, you have 3 times you can sysprep a reference PC before you have to format it and reinstall. I did not know that. Is this like, I'm not gonna go there. But anyways, yeah, that's crazy. Only 3 times? I don't know. I would say I've done it more in the past, but maybe I blew up our old images. Maybe that's why we had a problem with images. They're like, Tim, that guy, he sysprep 4 times. Now we destroyed our images. Interesting, yeah. Oh, I think you mean the, oh, that is interesting to know, because we used to update our, we would take our golden image, we would update it with Windows Update, and then we'd sysprep it again, then we'd capture it again, and we'd do that over and over and over time. Maybe that's why things were so messed up. Or maybe they artificially put that in after like XP or something. Dublu, I'll hit up the Discord a bit too, see if there's something I'm missing or not conveying properly. Yeah, apologize if I'm not understanding it properly too. Hey guys, it's about that time. It's a little bit after 5 here, Central Time in Minneapolis. So I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna say I think I'm close to the end. So I'm gonna go through these real quick, but I'm just letting you know I'm gonna wrap it up too. So I'm gonna go fast. Palace doing good, no worries. So long as you know what's correct, that's all that matters. Yeah, hopefully I do. Cheesy Plus, what's up? PC Geek, I love Untangle UI app and admin. It was great. I totally agree, man. I totally agree. Well, it should be able to handle 41 because the AP does not work with the controller. It just configures it. Then if you left it on, it monitors the data usage stats. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, just basically lets you connect to the thing and keeps the stats. Hopefully. And I think there's retention policies that are configurable on there too, on how long you keep data. Diabetes Tech Unify says 40, but if you have an installation, a client that have to install 41. I think I remember seeing this Reddit post somewhere where someone was like, technically it's 41 because of something, but maybe not. The Cloud Key Gen 2 is a 40 APs, 10 switches, and 1 USG. There we go. There's the answers, I think. Linux Tux, is there a way to forward HTTP to HTTPS to Pi-hole? Is there a way to forward HTTP? I'd put a reverse proxy in front of it. That's what I do. So I have a reverse proxy in front of my Pi-hole. And so that's where I take care of it. So I basically, maybe I'll have something coming soon, but I put traffic in front of, so I put traffic, my reverse proxy, name any reverse proxy, with my SSL there in front of Pi-hole. So that when someone requests whatever, piehole.mydomain.example.local. You'll never know, .lan, .home. When someone requests that DNS request, my reverse proxy will basically say, nope, if you request it over HTTP, you're getting redirected to HTTPS, and then SSL is terminated there, and then it goes right through to Pi-hole. So, yeah, and this is, I think, just in general, I've always been like, why don't all these systems build in self-signed certificates at least? And it's a ton of work for that thing to be able to support that. Yeah, Portainer's a good example. They're just like, we're not doing SSL or anything like that. You need to use a reverse proxy in front of us. And now that I have mine set up for all, so I have wildcard certs that I use at home. And then I have a reverse proxy set up. So all of my internal services now are served out through there. They all, tunnel through there with SSL. And so I don't have to worry, like, does Pi-hole have a self-signed certificate or an SSL endpoint? I don't have to worry about that anymore. Even Proxmox, I've been able to figure it out, even though they have a self-signed certificate there that they host. Technically, I still use it in between, somewhere in the chain. But I don't have to worry about ports anymore or whether or not they do support SSL. And so maybe I'll have something coming on it. It's pretty nice. It's actually really, really easy to do. And it actually is coming. It's not close enough to be there yet. I want to make sure that's right. I want to make sure that's easy. And when I do share it, I'll share absolutely every single configuration that I have for it too. So my video won't just be, here's how you do it. My video will be, here is absolutely every configuration you could possibly imagine for Pi-hole, for Proxmox, for TrueNAS, for all of these services who all have a little bit of tweaking to do to get SSLs working. I'll just share the whole entire config with you because it took a lot of time to figure out, especially, you wouldn't think like it would be that hard to put a reverse proxy in front of anything. It's kind of hard. But then like when you think about like Proxmox uses the web version of VNC and how do you get that to work still through a reverse proxy? Kind of tough. Took me about an hour for the configuration. So anyways, as soon as I have that ready, I will absolutely share it with you. So then maybe you could spin up your own reverse proxy on Portainer. I'm giving away too many hints. And have SSL everywhere because it's super fun and it's nice. And then you don't have to worry about, the target system not having a SSL support because now you're just like, I got SSL everywhere. My whole house has SSL. My Plex even internally has SSL now. It's nice. And it's a combination of Pi-hole for DNS, where it does the lookup for an alias that is a server where the process runs, and then Portainer, and then traffic running in Docker, and then everything points there as an alias. and then everything just works. So anyways, yeah, absolutely. HA proxy, yeah. So absolutely, name any kind of proxy. It could be Nginx, could be any reverse proxy. Absolutely, will still work. They all do the same thing. They have ways that they do it different. But I figured out how to do it all in Docker, all with some YAML, and you just apply it with Docker Compose, and magically, within 10 seconds, you have self-signed certificates everywhere for all your endpoints. It's actually super, super awesome. And it's because it's traffic, it's container first stuff. So it's pretty awesome. Anyways, it's coming. I don't have it close enough yet to be able to share it. I want to make sure it's right. Reverse, my guess is it's a firmware limitation. Is there a disk? Sorry, they just jumped. Hey, Iakata, dude, thank you. Thank you for today's stream. I am all new to this, so I've been love learning about it. I will for sure be coming to Discord with questions when they come up. Have a great day, dude. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. I can't wait for the rest of your parts to get here so you can build the rest of your server, and absolutely we'll be there in Discord for sure. So hopefully it goes well. Thank you so much. All right, I rambled for like 10 minutes, and then the comments piled up, so I want to make sure I address them. My guess is the firmware limitation. It's a firmware limitation. Reverse proxy plus Let's Encrypt, good to go. Yeah, I totally agree. But there's the configuration of all that too, and then making it repeatable and being able to share that. I totally agree. And traffic, if you do it, comes with reverse proxy in there too, as well as Let's Encrypt. So it's super awesome. And you can apply it. I'll share my Docker Compose with when I share the video. It's super easy. There may be a setting in Pi-hole to do it, or something to edit the light HTTP config. Yeah, good point too. I do think that, I can't remember. I thought it had to use port 443 for something else. I thought in their documentation they basically said, I can't remember. I'm not even going to guess, but I thought they had a reason for not doing it, and it had to do with they needed that port. And so that's why you do it over a different port. I could be wrong. But I reverse proxy in front of it, and then you just treat everything the same, and you're just like, I don't care what you use, SSL or not. I'm going to put SSL on you. Nice, thanks. No problem. Viking, I've decided to run for office. My first job will be the lower... All right. PC Geek, there's a Discord post on how to do LE with Pi-hole itself without a reverse proxy. Wait, hold on. There's a discourse post on how to do LE with Pi-hole itself without using reverse proxy, it looks like. But NPM works too, easy to set up reverse proxy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, NPM's a good choice too. I'll show you when I got my traffic in Docker. It's great because it runs as a container and it runs on the same machines, and it's fantastic. No database either. It's just YAML. YAML. I'm not saying that I love YAML. But at the same time, it makes it super repeatable to just spin it up. Share it with someone, you say Docker Compose up, and you got the same thing. It's pretty awesome. But you might need to get out your ruler or your T-square as you write your YAML. As you see from my YAML that has errors. If you have pfSense, HA proxy is a plugin. Nice. Can get a wildcard cert super easy. Yeah, for sure. Grouse, use Cert Manager with traffic. Yeah, for sure. Use Cert Manager with traffic. Yeah, absolutely. Another good choice. Angel of the Odd, Let's Encrypt over self-signed. In my honest opinion, auto updates expiring certs. Yeah, totally agree. And so when I say traffic comes with Let's Encrypt and does all the things Let's Encrypt does. It's just a network tool that also includes it. But yeah, absolutely does all the things. So all the things you think about Let's Encrypt, yep, traffic does it. But then on top of that, does reverse proxy like an Nginx. But it can also do more than just layer 4, 7. It can do more than layer 7. But anyways, so can HA proxy and all of them too. So it's I guess the takeaway is like, don't fiddle with, Pi-hole. Just put a reverse proxy in front of it. And then you've not only solved it for Pi-hole, you've solved it for everything else in your infrastructure too. And you just repeat that pattern, and whether it's NPM or HA proxy, then you're just like, yeah, I got SSL everywhere, create some DNS entries, Let's Encrypt will renew them. It's fantastic. If you use another port like 80 and 443, it can break the blank page. Yeah, instead of you getting ads. Sorry, 80, I mean. My Pi-hole isn't using 443 at all. Yeah, just going off the top of my head, I would highly recommend just don't even fiddle with Pi-hole. Reverse proxy, and then you have a pattern to do the same thing for everything. And then it's not how do I do it on Pi-hole, and it's not how do I do it on Proxmox. It's just like Oh, I did the same thing I did last time with a new DNS entry, and then you got it. Hi Tim, how are you doing today? I'm in London, so it's quite late here. A question about Pi KVM. Have you any experience with that kind of software hardware? No, I have not. I have not at all. It sounds awesome. Running KVM on a Pi sounds super fantastic. Hopefully it has enough throughput or power to power virtualization. Sounds fun. I haven't. Sounds fun. I should definitely look into it. My Pi has kind of been limited to some LED stuff, some general purpose server stuff, and some K3S stuff. I haven't looked at Pi KVM yet. It sounds interesting. I'm assuming it's virtualization on a Pi. Sounds awesome. PC Geek, but I could not have it enabled during install. I don't know. Mark Yamel. Yeah, Mark Yamel. Totally. I'm Asylum. Have you seen Zenshal? Just came across it. Really intrigued. It aims to be Windows Server replacement, small business. Yeah, so I've seen Zenshal's been around for a long time. It's one of those things that, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, I was like, yeah, it looks pretty awesome. And then I didn't hear a lot about it. And I'm hearing more about it now. I don't know if that's just because now I talk about home lab stuff in public, where 10 years ago I didn't. I don't know if it's getting more popular or it's just always been there. But heard of Zenshal, yeah, for sure. For sure. They used to have an orange and black logo, I think. But yeah, sir, it comes up every now and then. I just haven't run it yet. Not a hypervisor. It's KVM. Oh, thank you. Pi KVM. So I was thinking, okay, keyboard, video, mouse. There you go. Yeah, I have heard of it. And I saw I did see Craft's video. I also saw an old video where the maintainer of it spun it up and did a quick demo of it. Pretty awesome. Sorry, wrong KVM. Sigor, hey, I'm back. What did I miss? What did you miss? You missed me getting ready to sign off. So that's what you missed. I apologize. So, hey, Sniper X Gamer, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Lots of great comments, lots of great help. I love it. Sorry if I've been, like I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, I've been a little bit not under the radar or off the radar. I don't know. Last 2 weeks, I've had a lot going on. Haven't been able to put out the content I want, but it's coming soon. So I appreciate you being here today and just tuning in live. It's something I'll continue to do. But if you aren't able to join, but you're joined now, and you want to continue the conversation, absolutely, please join our Discord server. We have a lot of great people in our Discord server. A lot of the names you see in here are also in the Discord server. We talk about things tech, we solve problems, we help each other out, we joke sometimes. It's not all serious in there, but just a lot of great resources and a lot of great people in there. People are the best resource in there. And people just, talking about tech, a lot of tech chit chat, especially during the day. Like, people need a mental break from work and they're just like, hey, let's talk tech, because I may not have anyone else to talk tech or this kind of tech about. So lots of people in there. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing the link. Appreciate it. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of home labs. Yeah. I appreciate it. Dude, thank you so much. Absolutely. I will be back next Saturday. Maybe you'll see something from me here coming soon. You can always ping me on Twitter and Discord. I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Have a great Saturday. Be safe, be well, and be good to each other. Take care. See you, folks.